Welcome back to What She Said on Canada Talks, Sirius XM 167.
Hello everyone, I'm Christine Bentley in studio with Kate Wheeler, and today we're going to talk to a man who had a traumatic accident last December. He ended up being paralyzed from the waist down. While in hospital, he found a pamphlet about a facility called Aim2Walk, and the rest is history, shall we say. Please welcome Aldo to our studio, along with co-owner and director of therapy, Matt Sanchez. Hi.
Hi, morning.
Hi. Morning.
Hi.
So Aldo, let's start with you. You were 46 years old. Tell all our listeners what exactly happened on that day in December.
Well, basically it was minus 25 degrees. My tarp had tangled on my dump truck. I climbed up on top. I've been doing it 25 years, so it's nothing I haven't done before. Basically climbed up on top. I had some assistance with two other truck drivers to untangle the tarp so I can offload my dirt off my truck. And then basically 5 minutes later, not even, I was like flying backwards. Got catapulted and basically landed on solid frozen ground. And before you know it, I realized I was paralyzed waist down.
So, I mean, what happened? A gust of wind caught the tarp, caught you in the tarp?
I believe between the gust of wind and some maybe malfunction with the tarp kind of sent me catapulting backwards. So I landed basically on my buttocks. And from then there, I just basically couldn't move my legs. I knew something serious was wrong. And then I also fractured my wrist, like where it dislocated itself. So,
yeah. And
then from there, it was basically trying to get a signal out to 911, which was difficult out there because reception was very poor. On the ground for anywhere from half hour to 45 minutes waiting for an ambulance to locate us because we were basically in the middle of country roads. And from there I ended up at Alliston General Hospital in Alliston. From there I was airlifted to St. Mike's, and then from St. Mike's basically 5 days in ICU and then transferred over to a rehab center.
Now, you said when you were on the ground, you said you knew something serious had happened. What, in that 30 minutes, what is going through your mind?
Basically, I was frozen. I was just trying to basically focus. The only thing I could think of basically was what's taking the ambulance so long. The coldness started setting in, but at the same time, just trying to keep my sense of wit.
Right.
You couldn't, but you knew something was wrong with your legs?
I knew something was wrong because basically unless you experience it, it's your legs were numb. So I was cold from the top up. From my waist up, I was cold. But from my waist down, basically no movement. Like I tried moving my legs and stuff, and just nothing. Like they weren't even, couldn't even say I could feel the coldness.
So when did you feel panic about that?
That probably settled in maybe about 5 minutes later, but I kind of actually stayed calm through the whole thing. I was cursing more that my wrist was bothering me than my back, more than anything.
Now, you say that the doctors at St. Mike's and the rehab center were not overly optimistic about your chances of walking again.
They basically, they couldn't tell me whether I was going to walk or wasn't going to walk. They said only time will tell and how you heal. And they say within from what I've learned, was the first 6 to 9 months are very crucial. And that will kind of determine where your prognosis will go.
But things turned around when you and your roommate found a pamphlet.
Yes.
And you said something just went off, and that's what turned things around for you. Tell us about that.
Basically, I was at the rehab center for, at this point, I think it was 3 weeks or so. So it was just after the new year and stuff. So he happened to come across a pamphlet, ran it by me, and I just happened to see it. It said Aim2Walk, and that's my goal, obviously, because I'm paralyzed. So at this point, my goal is Aim2Walk. So I'm like, wow. And he's like, well, he already had checked out the website. I went upstairs, looked on my iPad, started looking at the website and stuff, and I was just blown away. I'd never seen this machine called the Locomat, and I'm watching this guy on it, and I'm like, wow, look at that. Now, it's not a miracle thing where you get on there and it's going to make you walk. No, it teaches you what your body already knows, but it's just kind of retraining the brain to walk again.
So, well, Matt Sanchez, you're the director of therapy at Aim2Walk. So, I mean, the vast majority of your clients, I would say, have a central nervous system injury or a condition. But there's lots of reasons they can come to you. I mean, even Parkinson's can cause. Right. A lot of people don't realize that that can have a great
Absolutely.
impact.
Really any mobility restriction. So if they have trouble walking for whatever reason, whether it's the brain, the spinal cord, degenerative conditions, dementia, hip surgery. So anything that's causing a difficulty in walking in an individual will benefit from the therapy that we can provide. Yeah.
Okay, and it's a recognized form of therapy, federally recognized.
Absolutely. My training is I'm a registered physiotherapist. It's physiotherapy.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, but there's been a lot of resistance to this newfangled floating machine, right?
So the resistance that we get is the type of technology that we're incorporating into our rehab. It's not very common in Canada. So this one piece of equipment that Aldo is speaking of, the Locomat, is robotic walking assistance, basically. There's 10 of them in Canada. Most of them are used for research currently, so there's not a lot of them that you can just show up and say, I want to pay and I want to use this to learn how to walk again. So there are certainly, especially in the beginning, 4 years ago when we first opened, we definitely had resistance from doctors and other therapists as well, thinking that, we're providing false hope, this technology isn't proven, and both of those are wrong, and we're having doctors and therapists turn around, and we're starting to get more recognition and more referrals from these individuals.
Well, in fact, I mean, just to add to that, didn't you, Aldo, petition the Workmen's Compensation Board to cover this? And they originally had said, well, that's not on our list.
Yes, that's definite. I was basically contacted them. I said, this is where I would like to go. And because it is a private clinic, they do not fund it in their eyes. So I said, well, I want access to this machine and stuff. So basically with the help of my wife, and also the fact that I didn't have a place to shower when I was going home, their facility helped with me. I needed a place to shower, also needed a place for rehab. So with that, because compensation was basically running around, it said, well, you have options of either sponge bathing yourself, or we can bring you to a facility and you basically shower 3-4 times a week and do it with you can the other days and stuff. And I'm like, well, no, I don't want that. So because they had the option of, they just put in a new 6,000 square foot gym area and stuff, and it had brand new showers and stuff. I said, well, you know what? It works so perfect for me. I can go there, do my physio, do my workout, and I can take a shower afterwards. And it basically, it helps me out, helps them out. I'm not jumping in a cab going to take a shower somewhere. So at that point there, and also with, just telling them, listen, I want to go. I want, they have this Locomat there. I want to try it. And it's not your regular physio place that I've been to, like in the past, just for whatever.
So you don't believe it offered you false hope?
No, not at all.
So when you read the pamphlet and it said Aim2Walk, and this is what you did, so you showed up there, and what happened?
Basically, I was released from physio on a Wednesday. On Thursday, I went to Aim2Walk for my assessment. By Monday, I was trying this Locomat for the first time, and I was like, wow, totally. I haven't stood up. You got to remember, for probably 3 months at this point, like literally on my feet. So being able to be hooked up to this Locomat and just stand there was like, just wow. This is what standing up is like, because we take it for granted. We take it for.
This wasn't one of the options that was offered to you.
No, it wasn't. They basically give you a list of government-run facilities, of physio places, and they didn't offer anything remotely close to what they offer. They're more... Aim2Walk is more hands-on. You get to see what everyone else is doing in physio. It's not just going to your regular physio office, sit in a waiting room. This is the way I interpret it. Sitting in a waiting room, they call your name, you go in, you do an hour of physio, and then, okay, thank you, go home. That's that. There, I have access to 6,000 square feet of gym, of whatever, of bicycle machines with leg presses, weights, stuff like that. A regular physio place, you don't, because the equipment there, once you're done your hour, half-hour therapy, you're done. you can't hang out in there, and let's just say, and use their equipment because they have other patients that are going to be using the equipment.
So Matt, is it now that you're getting more, and obviously this is anecdotal, but the anecdotes are great. I mean, we were hearing from people that it's helping them. So is the word getting out there? I mean, you said there's 10 machines, but a lot of them are being used for research.
Right.
I would assume research and helping people walk, but are they
Right.
opening up the gates for more access?
I believe so, yeah. It seems to be going that way. There's 2 new Locomats in Canada this year. London and Montreal now each have a Locomat. And prior, when facilities were getting Locomats, and they're both in hospitals, they were only 100% using them for research. And now there's a drive for the facility to open it up to the public. So the public can come in, and if they want, they can pay and access this specialized equipment to help with walking.
And are more insurance coverage providers accepting it?
So yeah, the answer is yes. Typically, because in our facility anyways, I can only really speak on how we discuss things with insurance companies. We are providing physiotherapy. So insurance providers will pay for physiotherapy, and we bill it as physiotherapy. We charge physiotherapy rates. We're not charging special rates for the special equipment. And so at this point, we have a good relationship with the insurers because we're not charging anything beyond what they normally pay already. Even if somebody has a sore shoulder, we're charging those types of rates for using this specialized equipment. So right now we have a good relationship with them, but they do recognize that the equipment is specialized, and we've been getting some referrals based on that.
You're watching What She Said on YouTube.
Aldo is probably your best case scenario patient, your dream patient, and why is that?
Well, Aldo, we call Aldo a dream patient, partly because of his personality, but the big thing is we got him right away. So he did his time in the inpatient, so the 3 months or so, or for right after he got injured, which is in our local hospitals, and he got his therapy there, and then you get discharged, and then you have the option of going to wherever you can find that's convenient for you. And he came to us, and when we get clients in that first 6 to 9 month window, you can make a lot of difference on their ability to walk.
Well, not only that, though, Aldo, you have said that an hour, oh, forget that. You're there for, tell people what you actually do in a day. You are really motivated.
Well, I basically, I'm there at 9 o'clock in the morning. I feel like I'm an employee now because I'm there 6 days a week. I get there at 9. They open at 9. I'm there at 9. I do my hour therapy, and then I just take advantage of the rest of the facility, of the weights, the machines. If they have co-op students, I take advantage of, working with one of the co-op students to help me and stuff. So I'm there for 3 to 4 to 5 hours sometimes a day.
Yeah, good. As long as you're not saying you're taking advantage of co-op students. That would be bad.
No.
So what motivates? I mean, of course you're motivated, but with this uber motivation.
I just, you take walking for granted. Everyone walks every day, and you figure, you break a leg, you're back up, or whatever the scenario. But when you're in an injury that I was involved in, it really changes your life. It makes you, live life differently, obviously. I'm not letting it stop me. I want to get back to where I was, if not even better. Life's too short, so, I'm just basically, I said, I got hurt. No one's going to do it for me, basically. It's not like I can tell someone, well, okay, go work out for me for 4 hours, and, I'm going to feel the advantages of it. No, I have to put the time and the effort into it, and you have to want it. If you don't want it, you're going to accept what the chair is. This is what they offer you. And at rehab, they only prepare you for basically, here, this is the chair. We're going to prepare you to go home. That's what I found from my experience was, this is the chair, because they don't know if you're going to walk or not, in anyone's case. So they prepare you to live in this chair and go home, and this is the way it is. You want to get out of the chair, you have to push yourself. You can't just do an hour of therapy and then go home and sit on the couch, play video games, whatever. No. You have to put in that extra. You have to want it at the end of the day. You have to push yourself.
Well, tell us about the end of the day. Tell us about going home. What does the support from your wife and your family mean?
It's phenomenal. My daughter she understands what ICs are now. She understands.
How old is she?
She's 11. She's 11. She was 10 at the time. She turned 11 this year. It does change changes your family life. Everyone's got to adapt to now. Dad's in a wheelchair or mom's whoever's in the wheelchair. Had some modifications done to my house. I have a couple of stair lifts. I stayed in one room for like probably about 4 to 5 months. I called it my man cave because I couldn't have access to the rest of the house till, I was better, as time went on, pushing myself and stuff. But you kind of appreciate life more. You appreciate, my daughter, I'm very, very close with her now, more than I was before. Not that I was never, but she's looking at, she used to see me walking, and now she sees, an alteration of Dad's in a wheelchair. And I remember the day, she asked me, for about a week, I didn't see her, and she asked me the question, Dad, are you in a wheelchair? And it broke my heart. I didn't know what to say. So for me, it was, yeah, Dad's in a wheelchair, but don't worry, I said, Dad's going to be out of the wheelchair. So I proved her that Dad's not in the wheelchair.
So where are you now? You started in March?
I started basically in let's say the first, March 1st. March 1st.
And so when did you get out of the wheelchair and start with a walker?
I started with a walker, I believe, 7 to 8 weeks later. So let's say 2 months.
That's amazing.
Very slow steps, obviously. I'm not running around. Right. But to be out of the chair and walking with a walker short distances is a big milestone for me. Just in 2 months' time. Convincing. I use a chair here and there just to kind of maybe in the house, just to whatever. But I try to, forget about the chair. Chair to me, that's not the point. I want to learn how to walk. It's going to take me time. I know there's they say anywhere from 2 to 3 years. It is what it is, but the more I push myself, I see a little difference every week.
Do you?
I find every week there's a little bit. It's not a big, I'm walking 10 times faster. No, it's that extra, I feel my legs different. I'm in better shape than I ever was. I never worked out a day in my life.
So what's the next goal?
Next goal, I'd say, would be lose the walker. Is hopefully to move on from walkers to maybe crutches to a cane, and then hopefully nothing.
Matt's smiling.
Back to normal.
How do you think? Where do you think he's at? How do you think this is going to work for him?
Oh, I think he's going to reach any goal he sets for himself. His goal about losing the walker, normally we'll be a little hesitant to take away somebody's walker. And, Aldo is one of the most persistent people I've ever met, and I have no doubts that that's going to happen. We've already tried. We've taken a couple of steps without a walker.
No face plants or a few face plants?
No, I've been there to support him. But, the steps are you go from walker to either 2 crutches or forearm crutches and then to a cane. So we tried the forearm crutches. It was challenging, but everything is. Aldo is somebody who he doesn't take the easy road. If you notice, he walked into the studio today, right? Anything that he feels is a challenge, he's going to do, and he wants to do, and he hunts me down. He says, Matt, I want to do this today. And even if I had it on my calendar to do next week, he's pretty convincing, and if I feel like it's safe, we'll try it.
So do you have a timeline for when you think he might possibly, knowing him?
No, this is one of the things that we try and avoid
I know.
put a timeline
I put you on the spot. I'm sorry.
For 2 reasons. We don't want people to feel like they failed if the timeline comes and goes, because that sense of failure can really dampen somebody's spirits with in terms of their rehabilitation. But also because we often don't know. Somebody's going to come into our doors in a wheelchair. Their goal is to walk. We have a good sense of whether or not they will have a recovery similar to Aldo's, maybe not quite as quick, but I have a good sense if they have the ability to regain muscle strength enough to walk. But when that's going to happen, nobody really knows. And if anybody tries to even guess, that's all it is a guess. If, gun to my head, I had to guess for Aldo, I'd say to reach that goal of walking with no walker, no canes, no crutches or anything like that, you'd still be looking at another 12 months at least. So it's a long road ahead. Despite how quickly he's come, there's a lot of other factors that are involved in being able to get to that stage. So, I'm not going to be surprised if he does it differently than my timeline I've stated, but it could be 12 months or more.
But the fact is that Aldo could have been sitting in a wheelchair for the rest of his life.
Yes.
What does that tell you, Aldo? I mean, you speaking to listeners out there in terms of advocating for yourself when it comes to your health and your services you need, and also determination. Because you're a shining example of both.
Well, first of all, you have to fight for what you want. And I mean, you can't just, the system's going to tell you, well, this is what's offered to you. Well, if you find something like I found, I just happened to come across it with my roommate, and, I said, this is where I want to go. And they, I was blunt, straight, I want access to this facility. I was in touch with my WSIB team and stuff, and they're like, well, like I said, we don't cover. It's a private clinic. We have other options.
But now, because of your action, your roommate got
Yes,
got
he
covered.
originally had approached. The only way to get in is also that you need a referral from your OT or your PT. Sorry, from the rehabilitation center. That's just the thing. You need a referral. I approached mine. I said, you know what? And she looked into it, and she said, you know what? It's a 12-hour. It's a 12-week. It's almost like going to boot camp. They push you.
Right.
There's no, here's this. No. They push you, and I love that. That's what I love about it. It's like I'm going to boot camp, and I asked to be pushed. I even asked, look, I want to try something new today. Let's try.
Right.
And it's just that's what gets me going. It's just the fact that I'm not going there and I'm not being babied.
Well, this is a wonderful story. I mean, just a wonderful, inspiring story for anybody who either is, got a neurological problem where they need to go to your clinic, but also generally for health. If there's a challenge that you have, go out and advocate for yourself. Anyway.
Thank you very much for coming in and talking to us today. And we'll put up this and links on our website at WhatSheSaidRadio.com to Aim2Walk and all your websites so people can check it out. Because frankly, we think you're here to save the world, and we think it's great.
Thank you.